How we make someone learn something.
Person should feel that I wanted to learn. We cannot change anyone else.
I see most of the problems in the business are the people problems.
This is what triggers a person will not grow.
Many times people say HR is for employees or people. Sometimes they say HR is for the employer.
And neither I was aware that there is a function called HR. You cannot be HR even without having the...
So definitely HR is the key. What advice you will give to your younger self?
Would go back to my initial statement of saying why you...
Welcome back everyone to another episode of HRME podcast. From a customer service trainer to head of HR for one of the biggest financial institutions, today we have our guest Dr. Don Vimal with us, and we are going to learn a lot from him today. So let's welcome Don. Hello Don, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, how are you feeling today? Just to keep you off the hook.
So far so good. It's a busy day. I'm looking forward for the weekend. Okay.
So Don, I want to ask you, how did you get into HR? Like, I'll give you my quick story.
Okay.
I was not even aware that there is a function called HR. And I was running my business. And unfortunately, things did not work well because I was just fresh out of college, having no experience whatsoever. So I got a job in HR because of one of my customers.
Okay.
He said, why don't you work in HR? Because you have good people skills. And I was like, okay, what is HR? And I ended up joining a textile company.
Wow.
So I was by accident an HR person initially, but then I fell in love with this. You know, it became almost like a conscious choice for me. So how was your entry in HR function? How did you start your journey?
I mean, my journey is pretty similar to yours, I would say, because I never thought that I would end up in HR. That's point number one. Neither I was aware that there is a function called HR. But however, mine started at a very early. So my mom comes from a teaching background. So she teaches and I see that. And so the bottom line, if I reflect back today, is her motivation to do the job is not money or any other factor. It's more about she gets very... appreciated herself when she actually sees whom she actually influenced in terms of people when they get their grades or they actually become something else successful in their life. And then she comes back home and she says, oh, I taught this particular person or this particular kid. Now he's in this particular position and all those sort of things. So that was there in my blood in a way. Then I started teaching at a very early age. So when I say started teaching, not in a formal setup, I started taking tuitions.
Oh, wonderful.
From my 7th grade onwards. So then I did my first master's, which was in IT, because that was the time when the IT was in vogue. But all this time, so when I finished my bachelor's, that was in IT too. And then there were not many people, those who were qualified to do IT trainings. But I had the training skills in me. So the only thing is to go and teach somewhere. So I started teaching in like AppTech and NIITs. Those are those institutions then famous. So I would go and attend my classes in the morning. I'll go in the evening and teach the same subject. So any subject you give it to me, I can actually teach someone.
Wow.
So this gradually I started teaching my own classmates. So this is a very different, the setup where a classmate would listen to me. So my teaching from that particular point of view become like from a classroom of 12 to 25, 30 classroom, my own classmates. So during our exam times, we do group studies. So group studies would be in one of the other's houses. All of us will just gather for, let's say, 1 month group study and all that. Once I was teaching my own classmates in a friend's house. So that auntie, which is my friend's mother, was a college professor. And the topic was actually numerical methods, which is one of the top difficult probably for us. Numerical methods, statistics, and all those sort of things. And then I explained it, and then this auntie comes in and she says, Don, if I had to teach this subject, although I am from a mathematics background, I wouldn't be able to teach the way how you actually taught. So this was my biggest compliment I ever got. That, okay, so that means I can actually teach.
Yeah.
And then I moved to my first job, which was in Reliance, and I got it from through as an internship. A paid internship I flew to Mumbai, but teaching was again as a background. So I actually got into their IT function. So they released some sort of software to be taught to the audience in terms of the internal employees to teach this, but how to use those software. I said I can teach. And that was my day 2 in Reliance. And then people are like, how are you going to teach? Like, you just joined, you don't even know the software. I said, you tell me the software, how to use it, but I can teach. I ended up teaching there. And then one of the, participant, which was again a senior person in the company, I had no clue who my audience is, because I just need to teach this particular thing. That's all was my objective. Her husband used to work for a bank where they were looking for a trainer for their bank. She said, okay, there's an opening. She joined there. Yeah. Go for the interview. But again, in India, you know how the interviews are. Multiple levels and all that. I said, I have no formal background of teaching. I went for the interview. I had to deliver a particular training program. They selected me. And then I got into the L&D side of it. That's where it started.
Wonderful.
So from learning and development, then to recruitment, then to performance management. Today, I manage the end-to-end.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. Long story, but...
Okay. So, Don, would you believe it if I tell you that when I'm listening to you, it feels like I'm talking to my alter ego?
Yeah. Yep.
My father was a teacher.
Oh, wow.
I started giving tuitions when I was in grade 7 or 8 as well.
Yeah.
And absolutely, when you were, narrating your story, I saw myself in your shoes. It is so easy for me to just grasp whatever you said because I was that person as well.
So you can see that in your eyes.
So it's such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I must tell you, it's almost like a God gift. It's not something that comes to everyone.
Sure.
Because I know many people who are terrible at teaching or making people learn things or simplifying things, as we call it. But this is getting really interesting. And I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways for those who want to learn how to train. And that would be my next question. So you, I feel like you have been gifted with this skill, but what is your process? How you make someone learn something? Because that's not an easy thing.
That's not any.
Learning means a shift in the mindset. And today you will see all kind of trainings, people make videos and everything.
True.
But to make someone learn requires more than just speaking.
True.
So I want to know from you,
Yeah.
what is your process and how we make someone learn something?
So in my viewpoint, if someone has to learn, that's point number one. That person should feel that I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Now, either as a facilitator, you can create that need because that person may not be aware about it.
Right.
So, or the person knows that the easiest part that I want to learn this, and then you go and help that person or deliver that. But creating the need is where actually our skill sets comes into picture. That's one side of it. Now, learning in different. So I've been in a formal setup of being a proper trainer. I have also taught in universities. I have also taught in schools and then in my own organization. So now here the audiences are different. It can be the same person but different environment because their needs are different. So if I'm teaching in a university, that means they pay a hefty tuition fee to get trained. Their attention span is much bigger than what the same person sits in an organization to learn something.
Yeah.
So the trainer's style has to get changed.
Right.
So the way and the style would include your tone, your language, your examples, everything has to get changed.
Yeah.
Right.
So just to emphasize on that point, what you just said, which I completely agree. When people pay more, they learn better.
Yeah. Yes, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because it's there, and especially in a country where it is not possible for you to just learn, and while it's similar, like probably in any other countries where you could just learn and then do a side job. No, in especially emerging countries, you need to be really earning a good handsome salary while you work and then do a higher studies.
Right.
And all my audiences was in the master's level. So you're talking about from good universities, you really need to pay really big amount of tuition fee.
Absolutely, yes.
Right. So those setups. So from that particular point of view, now the bottom line of all this is one thing as a trainer is you really wanted to teach. You wanted to make a difference in someone's life. Now, this is not a skill set. This is not, when I say skill set, it's not something you can learn to be a good speaker, but you cannot learn to see good things in others, because this is an instinct in yourself.
Wonderful.
Right. So bottom line of all this, regardless of what setup you are actually delivering it, if you see that as your personality and you see that part is there, that means as a trainer, whatever label you put it, whether as a teacher or a trainer or a L&D head or vice president, whatever, but this part has to be there.
Yeah.
And then you articulate, you use your styles, and then you say, okay, regardless whether that person is in touch or not, but when you open a LinkedIn and see, okay, this person really, I influence this person in a positive way to reach where they are.
Right.
We don't need an acknowledgement, but we feel happy. That motivation is a different motivation.
Absolutely. Yes, that reminds me of, someone recently, he messaged me that I got a 30% increment. And he just attended, I think, 4 or 5 classes from our training. And he was so excited and so happy. Yeah, he had to call and, he wrote an email saying thank you and all of that. And I think that's the real motivation for us, as a training company, that we make difference to somebody's life.
Yes.
Yeah. So coming back to making people learn. Of course, this is something which you cannot do without passion, You have to be passionate about making that difference. And like you said, the urge inside a trainer to make someone learn plays the most important role.
True.
And that urge inside someone to make someone learn comes from some deep-rooted values.
True.
With you can say these are good intentions.
Yes.
Just to simplify it. But there are some deep-rooted values to improve this world, or, to spread some, knowledge and share some. So, yes, so that makes me believe sometimes that trainers, they also are, kind people or good people at heart. That's what is driving them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might be wrong, but yes.
No, but that's true. Because, I recently had this conversation with a senior leadership person in my organization, where so this person has come in with a recommendation to promote someone. So that promotion goes with a grade change with a salary increment bit of it. In my viewpoint, that person should get a double grade change. But the problem is when it hits the double grade change, this is equivalent to that functional head's grade. So I was trying to tell this individual, this leader, saying that, okay, this is great recommendation, but do you genuinely think that this is a right recommendation? So a typical hat of a business head versus a HR. So business head would think that, okay, HR doesn't want this person to get promoted.
Right.
So he's from that particular thought process point of view. He doesn't know my intention, obviously.
Yeah.
So he said, yes, of course, and justifications why this person should get promoted, the business she brings in, they will take all those sort of analytics. I said, in my viewpoint, this person should get double promoted.
Right.
So there is a silence now, because he knows where I'm arriving at.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, let me ask you this question. And I said, let's call this person X now. So I said, okay, this is X. Let me ask you this question. Do you get gratification, happiness when your people get promoted? And he said, yes, of course I get happy when I see my people getting promoted. That's a good leadership quality. Yes. I said, do you get happy when people get promoted above you? And there was a silence.
Yeah.
I said, I get happy. That's the difference between you and me. That's absolutely. So I said, that's where HR stands. So a true HR,
yes.
So I'm not, because as an HR, you would have access to everyone's salary.
Absolutely.
The moment I get demotivated by seeing someone else's salary and benefit, there we lost. I'm not an HR person anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So that's where this personal urge to see people getting whether promoted or doing their best, because not everyone can be promoted. So at least, are they doing their best? That's point number one. And that goes back to your question number one. Do they know what their best is also? Because I cannot compare one person with another person.
Yeah.
So as a trainer, facilitator, leader, because end of the day, leader is a coach.
Yes.
Right. Other than just running behind the numbers, that's an analytical person's job.
Yeah.
If they're able to make the person feel that this is your best, And I wanted you to move from this best to the next stretch. That's where a leadership or a coach, trainer, anything comes in.
Yes. So I think in the words of Dave Ulrich, that would be the credible activist side of HR.
Absolutely.
The ethics champion.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I completely understand that, being an HR person myself. So many times people say HR is for employees or people. Sometimes they say HR is for the employer or the business. But HR is for HR.
HR is for HR.
Yeah, right. We are that bridge who everyone crosses.
Yeah.
It's like they say, bridge between employee and employer. So you always cross that bridge, but always, under acknowledged.
True.
Not given enough credit for what they are doing.
True. I mean, in a way, yes. And I would agree and disagree at the same time. But I would say agree because that's how it is seen by majority of them, other than the HR.
Yeah.
Right? Or I mean, the agreement would come in again from a point of, if you see nowadays people, those who get like in the past, people would only get trained and get experience in their own domain. So if it is a finance guy, he only knows finance. Marketing knows only marketing. But after this introduction of an MBA, which ideally, in my opinion, should be taken after the person actually reaches some sort of leadership role. Because then only that person will understand how this entire enterprise connects.
Yes.
So then they understand each function, how it is important.
Yes.
So at a very surface level, because MBA doesn't get into deep into any of the subjects,
Yeah.
but they understand the objective of MBA is that, right? Understand each functions, what they need to understand it.
Yes.
So from that, so if an MBA graduate who is sitting at a leadership level, having a conversation with that person, someone who is only domain on one particular subject and reach to a highest level of SVP level of that particular subject, the conversation and the way how they see HR is completely different.
Yes.
Now, that probably I'm arriving at the next point, which is with the AI, this part of HR being seen as a administrator to a strategic role, AI will help. Because now we are going to go with data-driven decisions,
Yes.
and clarity. Because today, not everything in the world can be quantified. And HR, it's a softer side of it. Employee happiness went up. Okay, it's difficult to quantify.
Yes.
I can put in some sort of surveys and all that.
Yeah.
But quantifying that with an AI, a proper AI tool, would come in more realistic, that I am moving away from the administrative HR to a strategic HR.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, two things. One, I would definitely agree on the strategic HR role and the way we are moving towards strategic HR. But if you see, I run a business, I'm an entrepreneur as well, and I see most of the problems in the business are the people problems.
Yes.
With great strategy, you can start a business.
Yeah.
With somewhat skills and your individual charisma, you may even, let's say, grow the business to a certain extent. But you cannot sustain a business without people.
Absolutely true.
So, like for me, for example, at this stage in my business, if you ask me what is your number one challenge, I would say people. And all the research says that the reason why CEOs are awake mostly at night is because of people. So all businesses, they are possible because of people. It doesn't matter how great they are.
True.
And if businesses are not growing, they have people problems.
True.
And the solution for people problems is the people department, which is HR department, right?
Yeah.
So definitely HR is the key if you want to grow a business.
True.
Because starting a business, I always say, is the easiest thing.
Absolutely.
Making it successful is difficult, more difficult.
Yes.
And growing it further is the most difficult, where you need people.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think HR is the most important function, as we call it, the heart of the organization. But on the second aspect, which you were discussing, AI. So yes, we can explore it further, like how AI coming in is not actually taking HR's job.
No way.
In fact, it is making HR's role even more critical and important.
Yeah, and visible to others, which is only today HR knows.
Yes.
But now the whole world will know.
Yes. And I recently saw somewhere, there was this article which says in future, HR and IT functions will be clubbed. Already experiments are happening. So there are few multinational companies, they are already doing it. They have clubbed HR and IT.
Maybe I'll be the guinea pig for this, I would say, because I have done 3 masters.
All right.
So I have done, my first master's is in MSc IT.
Okay.
Then I did psychology, then I did MBA.
Wonderful.
And this MSc IT, the way how it has helped me in this entire journey of HR is tremendous. Like I cannot put it, whether it is implementing an e-learning, whether it is an LMS system, whether someone comes in, because typically this had IT people would be saying that, just reboot it, or this is not possible. This is a system related. I say, no, there is no problem like that. But I know what you're talking about. This early. So it always helped me.
Yeah.
Now it has reached to this stage, and I totally agree with that article which you are referring to, that one, obviously IT skill sets are required, but not just knowing about it.
Yes.
Deep dig into it.
Yes.
And it will only help whether it is HR or any so-called support functions.
Absolutely.
To become strategic.
Yes.
And then, actually true, because it has to club together.
Yep.
I mean, today, anything we do, whether it is from a recruitment, from recruitment to an employee engagement to a performance management, this all sits in the IT.
Yes.
So normally in typical today, you have one person who bridges this gap, which is a business representative who understands a bit of IT and the business side. And then he or she is the one who pass on the message and bridge that gap. But you don't need that mediator.
Yeah.
If both the parties actually knows what they wanted.
Exactly.
And
So I strongly believe AI will make HR role even more significant after I started, researching more on AI. And then if you look at your classic HR knowledge and the work that you are doing, such as job analysis, for example, who in the organization knows what is the job content, duties, responsibility, what is the context, and what are the job requirements? It is HR.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the one person who knows what this job entails should be the person who is going to tell AI what this job is all about.
Yes, absolutely true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So, in some of my sessions, I say that, but I don't know whether it's going to happen. That maybe the HR might be the last man standing.
Is the age of AI and the age of AI. Yeah. I mean, this is like typewriters, like ages back, people used to go and attend classes, right?
Yes.
And today, no more. But we all still type.
Yes.
But we don't become a typist or a personal assistant type of thing. But as any change comes in, when it is a dramatic change, this is the fourth revolution we are talking all about, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, as human being, we tend to reject it. Right. I mean, a majority of them would reject it, would be resistant to do any changes because we have a routine. We do this in this way. You're talking about a change. And that's the stage where we are right now. And then we would try our best to say that this is not criticate. I mean, that's a human tendency to have it. There would be neutral people, those who would just go with the flow, whether this side or that side. There are people, those who will take it to the next level. But eventually, if the change is going to result in a better, because we only use X percentage of our brain.
Absolutely.
Now, if the AI is going to start with that usage of brain, we will use more than that.
Yes, absolutely. All right, moving on. So you have worked in one of the most diverse markets and I think industries as well. So how was your experience dealing with A, diverse set of learners, and B, with diverse set of people? Because you manage HR in business as well. So how was your experience?
I think my biggest learning in one line, if I have to say, that there is no one size fits all. You could, especially when the diversity comes into picture, if I have to start from the way a feedback is given versus how it is perceived is 360-degree different.
Yeah, true.
Right? So, okay, it is given in a way, we'll be very cautious about how we give it. But the same thing in a diverse team, it is perceived in a 360 different.
You're absolutely right, yes.
So one size fit all never works. And we can only change ourselves. We cannot change anyone else, right? And now purely from a learning point of view, if you ask, now again, it goes back to the setup. So if I'm delivering a training, let's say in a university, it's a very diverse audience sitting in front of. And diversity is not ethnicity diversity, even age diversity. So there was one classroom which I had, this is an MBA classroom, where the youngest person in that classroom was me. So I was thinking, and someone who actually just got, this is an MBA, so there are people at different age group, someone who just got retired. So retired and he wanted to do an MBA from a very different, he was a Greek person. So I asked him on a one-to-one that what motivates you to do an MBA today? And he was an entrepreneur. So he got retired from his own business, handed over the business to his son. He said, Don, my biggest motivation is when I was studying, there was nothing called an MBA then. And I always wanted to have an MBA. For what reason, don't ask me. But I always wanted to have an MBA. If I am not there tomorrow, I don't want to die with this thought that why I did not do an MBA. Yeah? So I wanted to make sure I finish my MBA. And he was practically a most knowledgeable person because he ran a successful business. End to end.
That comes from intrinsic motivation, right? So where naturally humans are curious and we want to learn more.
Yes.
And people like you, people like me, I think we are trying to, quench that thirst, to learn more.
Learn more. Yes.
Right. So every day I travel in my car, I am learning about something.
Yes.
I have attended such diverse set of skills training, from coding to cooking, everything.
Because see, even I completely agree with you. If I do the same thing in an organization setup, let's say if in my company, if I have to deliver a training program, because we recruited these individuals, regardless of what level. Now you see any resume, the first line on a resume, the objective is, I have X years of experience, which I want to share, I want to learn.
Yeah.
This is a standard thing in any resume.
True, yeah.
Like any resume, you pick it.
Yes.
I have this experience, I want to share, I want to learn.
Yeah.
Fine. So now here, that is the core of a human being.
Absolutely.
Now, can an organization create a forum to learn and to share their knowledge? That's where the organization setup comes into picture. Yes. And if, as an organization, if I have that environment, that means I can learn new things and I can share what I have actually learned.
Yes.
Eventually, the organization will be a successful organization.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. And this is, many times companies think it takes huge budget. It does not. Just the intrinsic motivation that comes from learning itself, plus extrinsic motivation that can come from just a certificate, a piece of paper, recognition. Yeah. Right. So it's the most inexpensive way to motivate your people.
True. Actually, that goes back to the question which you asked me, diversity. Because the feedback, when I said it can be a verbal feedback or this appreciation. So you finished the course. Now, how individuals get motivated depends upon the diversity is different.
Right.
Because some people would get motivated by giving a recognition as a certificate. Some of them, it could be a promotion. Some of them, it could be additional responsibility, a project. So we do not know. This is a feedback.
Yes.
So here, when I say feedback, this is acting as any of this sort of gratification. So by doing a certificate, there are certain ethnicities or certain age group of people. Now we can't even club in an ethnicity because of the generation gaps.
Yeah.
I think. So that feedback has to be again different. So would I be happy by just getting a salary increment if I finish, let's say, a certification with certain projects in an organization, or am I just expecting just a certificate or just an acknowledgement? So that feedback is also very, very critical bit of it.
Right. Absolutely. So I have one question around that area only. What's the most surprising thing you have learned when you are leading people across cultures, across different cultures and ethnicity?
Leading people from different culture, I would say, one, acceptance. Now, in my previous role, I was managing the region. So when I say managing the region, this is Middle East and North Africa, very diverse. So if I'm with Egypt, the people would be completely different. One, in terms of, okay, someone is coming in altogether from a different country. And when they see me, I'm from a completely different ethnicity. And you're going to fix my problems here while you have got no clue about my own country or my own vertical as function, which is located in a geographically completely. So that initial vying to get. And now this is a secret which I always had, which I normally don't share it. So the first thing what I do is I go to this place. So this is a longer project, which is normally, let's say, long project you're talking about spanning from a 2 weeks to 1 month, let's say. So if it's a 2 weeks, whatever, even if it is a 1 day project, a 1 day assignment, First, I go to that particular country, go to a local barber shop and get a haircut as per that particular culture.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And then I had longer beard, so I cut it according to that.
Wow, wow.
I pick up on the colors which I normally see around. So I prepare them in a way to accept me not as a completely different person. Because the way how we dress, everything matters. Pick up local perfumes if it is a longer project. Pick up a local, because everything you wanted to prepare them to accept you. Because I'm not trying to sell myself as what I am, because that's not my objective, right? So that is from my diversity, multicultural, all that. And this really worked out for me all this year.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And then pick up some words which they normally use it. I pretty much go with any type of food and all those sort of things. I will try to find out any restaurants which I could refer back. If they ask me for a lunch or anything, why don't we go there? So you try to become part of them.
Yeah.
And then you pick up on your business conversations or whatever you're talking all about. So end of the day, because for someone to accept, this is creating a need I'm talking about, right? Now, this is from a learning or a business or whatever point of view. Creating that need, that means they already accepted you, that you know them.
Yeah.
That's my objective. So I'm not gimmicking anything there.
Yeah.
That's a technique which works in an ethical way. Because now I understand you. Now let's talk about what your gaps are and then arrive at a solution bit of it. So this goes back to that creating a need while you become part of that.
I would say that's a very practical approach, because you might be someone might be an idealistic thinking the world is an ideal place. It is not. And what you are essentially talking about is from assimilation to inclusion.
Yeah.
So you are not expecting inclusion in the first stage. You are assimilating in that culture. And then you are reaching to inclusion where they feel like you're part of them and you can actually bring a shift in the mindset.
Yeah. Right. And then my assignment is that. That's all is what because I don't want to prove anything else there.
Yeah.
So the concept is not proving, helping them to move to the next level.
Right.
And then you exit from there. So
True. Okay. So on those lines, can you share a project which you found very challenging and or very motivating for yourself, where you learned a lot and you were challenged in the project?
I mean, there are many comes in my, because there are two, I would see it's two aspects. One, challenging, and second thing is motivating for myself. Now, challenging, if I see it, this is sometime back, couple of years back, we wanted to launch something called as a sales academy. Now, out of all the audiences, the most difficult one to trade is actually the sales. Because for sales, and these are experienced sales guys, not the new ones we're talking about. And now experienced sales leaders, again to make it a bit more. So we wanted to launch a sales academy, which is going to help the sales leaders in terms of, so we wanted to have scorecards for every single individual working in their team. Now this could be the, let's say, sales managers to the head of sales, including the head of sales, and then team leaders and the individual sales contributors, right? Now scorecard, so sales is a number driven, but scorecard cannot be just a number driven. Now the organization which I'm talking all about, this is not a number driven, this is quality driven organization. Now and we are not going to recruit someone at an entry level who's going to learn sales at the beginning. That means they already have some sales experience. So they led teams in the past. Now, when they move into this organization culture, the biggest challenge is to unlearn what they learned there.
Yes.
And then adapt to this culture. Now, you're talking about an organization which is there for many years. Now, and a successful organization. So I only need his few skill set to be implemented here. He or she implemented here. So we actually launched something called as a sales academy. And this literally goes back to a lot of analyticals. That's one, dashboards and actions to be taken with some CRM support and all those sort of things. Now implementing this in multiple regions, not just in one region. Now, everyone's objective, not everyone wants, now this goes back to the cultural bit, the different cultures which we normally talk about. Not everyone wants to learn. That's point number one. Everyone wants to learn in their own way. Now, not everyone would be as tech savvy as one region versus the other region bit of it. But as an organization level, this is the same thing we wanted to implement that in all the market. So this was one of the biggest challenge, I would say, and one of the most successful because it still runs there in the full-fledged bit of it. So someone someone who doesn't know to use a computer, let's say at a very senior level, knows to use a computer, but minimal what for their particular job, but this requires a bit more. So training them on those sort of things. And so that was one of the biggest thing and one of the successful one. And when it full-fledged worked, this is now more than 7 to 8 cycles it worked. Each cycle is 1 year. That means 7 to 8 years it has been successful, and organizations started investing on that project to improve it to the next level. That means it's a successful project.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that's more both sides, both motivational for me to see this is successful because it has coaching, it has mentoring, it has training, it has evaluation. Everything is there in that particular one model bit of it.
Right. Absolutely. And it's easier to, if you are training sales team, it is easier to show the return on investment as per.
Yeah, because all what matters to them is the number and
The revenue.
yes.
Right.
So how do you just tell them that not just the numbers matters. If the qualities and behaviors doesn't come together, your numbers will not change.
Absolutely.
Because you keep doing the same thing, you get the same result.
Yeah.
So you'll have to change the way how it is done. And then that's where this approach actually worked.
True, absolutely. And that's where I strongly believe, and in my experience, I have seen that L&D is a very strategic function. Because you are not just adding value from the sales perspective, like you just mentioned, but in so many different ways.
Yes.
Engaged employees, which is possible with the help of training and learning. And then engaged employees make your customers also engaged and retained.
True.
So it improves customer service. It brings all the 360-degree results, for the organization.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So yes, now let's talk about the future. So what do you think? What is the next big thing that is happening in HR or L&D?
I mean, HR, L&D, AI certainly. We are probably at the tip of the iceberg. And although we all see it has already transformed a lot of our job, but the real thing is yet to happen.
Yeah.
And that journey, I mean, at least this generation, which we all are part of it, is great that we know this while and the post bit of it.
Yeah.
So the down the line after 4 years, 10 years, there will be dramatic changes. All aspects of the employee life cycle. From employer branding, like 10 years back, this concept of employer branding was never there.
Yes.
Right? Because it was just attracting.
Yeah.
Attracting, you send the resumes or you have an opening. But today, for an employee or a candidate to look for a company and to apply for the company, you need employer branding. And that is employer branding internal to retain, employer branding external.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not talking about talent which is just seeing an advertisement only, because advertisement is expensive, right? Now, advertisement just in a particular area or in a portal. You want international talents. Now, again, goes back to the organization's larger objective also. So the life cycle actually starts from there. And then we are talking about an attracting.
Right.
And then your interviews and assessments and all those sort of things, retentions. So in every aspect of employee life cycle, there would be dramatic changes. And each of that, like today, to put it, like L&D, when we say, now I am a strong believer that learning and development is not in a classroom. This never happens in a classroom. Maybe an induction could happen in a classroom.
Right.
This is outside of the classroom. So we are talking about creating intra-learning, inter-learning, industry experts coming in and teaching, vice versa. So this learning is not just in a classroom, field visits, taking feedback, like rightly you mentioned, all the 360 degree, take. So today to take a feedback, so if my salesperson, since we are on the sales topic, went for a client meeting, do I have a tool to take that person's feedback? The moment it gets feed into my KPI and then into my scorecard, now this is not from a punishment point of view, from an improvement point of view, regardless whether I close that sale. Now this sale is not just an individual sale, it could be a strategic sale. Now, if I as an owner wanted to get that feedback, what did I do wrong and good? So this is receiving a feedback. This goes back to that receiving a feedback. Now, not everyone would like it, but if you have that culture in the organization, will that within you, absolutely a success comes.
So, I mean, if I may add something here, I would say I am already working on your advice, which you just gave right now.
Sure.
Because, there are some salespeople in my office. And if you check, there is an A4 sheet on their table. And after whatever they feed their leads and discussions, there is something. What I learned from this interaction with the customer, what I learned from this sales call, what I learned from this Zoom call or interaction. After every call they take, they have to write what they learned from this.
Yeah.
And once a week, we gather and everyone shares that sheet.
Oh, wow.
I mean, as you know, this is what I learned last week.
Yeah.
And imagine if you have 10 people like this who are sharing. So this is exponential learning.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's a typical example of social learning.
Yes.
Constructionist approach, where people are learning from each other's.
And you are actually creating a psychological safety for employees.
Yes.
Because my problem would be if I'm a salesperson, I did a mistake, I did not close it. Now, is it a right environment for me to share this or I hide it?
Yeah.
Now, you are actually creating a safe environment psychology for employees. It's okay to do mistake,
Yeah.
but as long as you learn from that.
Yes.
Because if that forum is not there, I will not learn anything from that.
Absolutely.
Which is actually a very appreciable, great thing as an AG.
So I'm following the advice of the top HR professionals. Thanks. How would you recommend? So there are a lot of changes that are happening in the world today. What advice you will give to your younger self or someone who is starting a career in HR today or wants to become a trainer today? What advice you would give to such our young people?
I mean, my bit would go back to my initial statement of saying why you wanted to become. Because everyone, any kids for that matter, at a very early stage, if we ask them, what you wanted to become, it's actually a teacher. Majority of the answers at a very young age, it's a teacher, because that's what they have seen outside of their house or premises, someone influences. So there are different motivation levels. So majority of the kids would say, I want to become a teacher. Unless they want exposed to their parents or someone today the movies or anything where they become superheroes or one of those. But at least in our generation and all that, this is what triggers, I want to become a teacher. Right? As they grow, this passion moves on. But if they are able to sustain this passion, if specifically about L&D we are talking all about,
Yes.
while they get exposed to so many other roles and everything, but they still think I wanted to be a teacher, that is a clear-cut sign that this person can be in an L&D or a professor or a teacher or a coach or a mentor. And then the question comes in, which industry and all those sort of things. Because the bottom line is this, purely from an L&D point of view. From an HR point of view, again, because HR, L&D is just one part of the bigger picture of it, right?
Yes.
Because that wears a hat of an entrepreneur also. That means your empathy and emotions, emotional intelligence, everything has to be there while you have some business acumen skills too. Because you cannot be a head of HR or I would say a HR even without having the business acumen skills. Because you're just thinking from an L&D point of view. It will not be a successful because that person will not grow. And that requires a multi-facet type of thought processes. That's where a business acumen comes into picture.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And I would like to emphasize on what you said. Many times people come into HR thinking it's about people.
Yeah.
Not realizing it is always about business. So until we contribute to the business, you cannot achieve your people goals, whatever they are. You want to improve their lives.
Sure.
First, make the business more profitable.
Absolutely.
So I love this quote from Toyota. They say, our job is not to make people happy. Our job is to make people productive.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's the job of HR as well.
Absolutely.
To make them productive.
Yeah. Or any organization who's not able to have this, HR has a different thought process and the business objectives are different. The problem is actually the wrong business objective or HR did not understand that. Right. It is not. So if a HR says, oh, this is a business goal, there itself it's clear that the HR did not understand what the business goal. Because you cannot have a different goal than the business goal.
Absolutely.
Because business goal is the biggest one.
Correct.
You derive your HR goals from the business goal.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's two different organizations.
Yes. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Completely agree. And I want to congratulate you as well on winning the HRME award for 2025.
Thank you very much. I was very proud to receive the award.
Yeah. So how was your experience?
Amazing. I mean, I was very honored to receive that award. I'm not sure whether you know, I went for a vacation and I only arrived on that morning. And then I was like not sure in terms of whether I should come or whether I will win, all those sort of questions. But regardless whether I won or not, but the experience was really good. So I won like-minded people around.
Yeah.
The audience was really great, and I got introduced to a lot of like-minded people. I have completely different or new community, which I wasn't, because when you work for a particular organization, you are always engaged with that.
Right.
So industry experience, I think one of the best thing I probably did this year. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, congratulations once again, and we'll be waiting next year again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now time for rapid fire round. One word your friends would use to describe you.
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy. All right. Wonderful. I would say ethical as well.
Thank you.
Biggest misconception about HR?
That it's a support function.
Oh, completely agree. One thing you do every morning to keep yourself in good mood.
So every day I log into, every day in the morning, the first thing what I do in morning probably is I vote for a HR related puzzle every day.
Oh, beautiful.
So this is on LinkedIn. There's a group.
Okay.
Because I keep referring to the same. So the first thing which comes in is they would quote a question. They'll give some poll options, and I vote for that.
So wonderful, wonderful. Okay. An L&D trend or an HR trend you are obsessed with right now?
I would say on the gamification of learning.
Gamification of learning.
Gamification of learning.
All right. Wonderful. One book or podcast you recommend to every HR leader?
The Fifth Discipline. So that's from Peter Senge. It's called Fifth Discipline. Peter Senge has been rewarded as the best strategist of the century. And so there are 5 disciplines which he talks about. Must read regardless of HR, regardless of business person. So because this is 5 disciplines of life. And a job is just one part of it.
Right.
And I highly recommend this.
Okay, wonderful. If you had to start your career all over again, what's the first thing you will do differently?
I normally ask this question to myself, and I always end up getting that I wouldn't have done anything differently.
I love that answer. Which means you accept your journey.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. Dream dinner guest, dead or alive?
Jayalalitha, Chitradita.
Wonderful. Okay. One line advice to every HR professional listening right now.
I mean, whatever we do, whatever stage, whether you are at the entry level or at the topmost, at the peak of whatever career if you are, and whatever you're doing it, I think that should be done with passion. Now, we don't get everything what we do in our life, what we wanted to do. But at the end, this is going to result in something very positive. So have that patience, and regardless of that task which you're doing it, but do it with passion. And because otherwise, we're not doing it for anyone. Neither you're doing good for yourself in terms of stress and health related bit of it, nor the outcome which you're doing it, if it is a job bit of it also, it doesn't result anywhere. So whatever you're doing it, do it with passion and see the bigger, larger picture than just seeing the success in a short-term bit of it. And I think everyone will be successful.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it was pleasure talking to you, Don.
Thank you.
And on that note, we will end today's session.
Thank you.
So as Don said, whatever you do it with passion. If it is not your passion, then make it your passion. You will find a way. So thanks for watching HRME podcast. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of learning with our guest today, Dr. Don. And I'm sure we are going to catch up again.
We'll catch up. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation.
I also enjoyed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thanks for coming. Thank you.